Okay, the time is 6:15 p.m. This is Prairie View Ranch Water District meeting number 15 being called to order. Let's get a roll call, please. Marcy McAnally.
Here.
Lynn Lillard.
Here.
And myself, Jesse McCoppin. And Sam Belmonte is unable to join due to prior work engagement. So we are now calling the meeting to order. There is a quorum present: Marcy, Jesse, and Lynn. Also present from the community is Sheila Brown. So this will probably go pretty quick. Lynn, let's just, I know you haven't done a treasurer's report before, but basically we just need to know kind of, what our bank balance is, how much we've made or lost in the last billing cycle, how much we owe currently to vendors, and basically how much we've made or lost year to date.
Okay. Now I'm just I was kind of like last minute on this. So I'm just kind of going off the numbers that are in front of me in QuickBooks. Looks like there's about a little over 25,000 in the bank. Do you want exact numbers down to the penny?
No, dollars is fine.
Okay. Last month, it looks like we had about $3,700 come in. We had $700 go out. So we're up about 3,000 on our last billing cycle. Year to date, we're looking at about $22,000 up. We've had a revenue of 32,000, expenditures of 30,000. And this is, like I said, I'm just kind of going off of what's here in front of me. And from what I've seen, and I kind of was looking through the emails today as well, just to make sure there wasn't any bills that I didn't know about. You've already got the only bill that I'm aware of the 23532 to Morgan County REA. I haven't seen the others, and I don't know where we're sitting on the Action Electric bill. But that's kind of what I know for right now. I hope those are the numbers you're looking for, or that we need.
Yep, that'll do for now. Okay. If you could generate the two statements of financial activity so that I can post them on our website, I'll get that done. Have them emailed to directors like you did last time.
Okay, sounds good.
So as far as vendor invoices, we've got our standard power bill from MCREA. It was quite low this time because they finally got us off of budget billing. Even after requesting once and speaking to someone on the phone about it, it didn't actually happen. So there was a true up period where one of our bills was higher, and now because we're because of that, we had a credit. So our actual bill this time is just $235.32. The AWWS certified operator bill we have not received. I emailed Shay Lake a couple days ago asking if she could send it to us. We've always had problems receiving bills from their QuickBooks system, and it's kind of hard to know, are we going to get it in the mail this time? Or are we actually going to get it in the email, or is it not going to come in email? So fortunately, they've never, harped on us about being late or anything like that. But it is kind of a pain to get an invoice from them for one reason or another.
Well, and do most of our bills come in by email, or are we getting them by email as well as regular mail?
Just email for REA. AWWS did say they were going to send us paper bills, but I don't think they actually have more than once or twice. So yeah, we would prefer to get everything in email, so then we can just pop it straight into QuickBooks in another browser tab while you're looking at the email or whatever. Okay. But might not be a bad idea to re-request from AWWS that we get both electronic and paper invoices every month.
Okay.
CDPHE, apparently, and I wish Sam was here to fill in the blanks. I'll ask him again. I think this $75 annual registration was sent to Sam's personal email address in July or August. And now it's already gotten like a past due and a final notice, and we still haven't received a copy of it. Officially, the district has not received a copy of this bill. If it goes to a private email address, that doesn't count. Even if it's a board member, it's not a district accessible email address. It's not district property. So we need to get that fixed. I did bring it up to Vanessa Mansill at AWWS. She was because they get all that correspondence too, and she even asked me, have you gotten it yet? And I said no, and she said she would send a copy, but I haven't gotten a copy from her yet either. So I'll reach out to Sam and to Vanessa and try to figure out where the heck this invoice is. It would be nice to pay it. It's not very much. CDPHE is probably not very happy that they're sending out final notices. I don't know what happens if too much time goes by with CDPHE if we don't pay that, but it's probably comes with a penalty or something like that. So I just want to get it done.
Can we bypass the two people in the middle and just contact CDPHE direct and ask them to, hey, we need to make sure that these are paper billed to us so that we've got something in writing? Is that possibility?
So,
or are we required to go through them?
So yeah, AWS would prefer that we go do everything through them. And the reason that we didn't get the bill is because of the contact information paperwork, which is one of the next agenda items. So once we fix that, everything should be fine. And, we can communicate properly with AWS and CDPHE again, because right now, Sam, unfortunately, is the only point of contact. Everything's being routed through his personal email address, personal phone number, and personal physical address too. So that's one of the next agenda items, is to get that paperwork fixed.
Okay.
So the next invoice, and this is not, Action Electric sent us an invoice for $1298.19, even though we've never entered into a contract for either one-time service or what's on the invoice of annual generator maintenance. I've definitely been through every piece of paper that we have on file for this district prior to us taking over and after, and there's definitely no record of us discussing in a meeting, requesting that Action Electric or any other electrician come out and work on the generator at the district's expense. So basically what happened here was the developer texted me, like they have several times in the past, informing me that a guy named Derek Jackson, I think, the developer didn't mention a company name, just said Derek Jackson is coming out tomorrow morning. And this was on a Sunday at 4:50 p.m. On October 9th, giving us less than 12 hours and 0 business hours notice before some guy named Derek Jackson showed up. So he showed up, did some work, came back on the 22nd and installed, came back on, I forget the date he came back on the 22nd and installed a new block heater. So we already knew that was a problem. Doria basically notified me that what I thought was that she was sending some guy named Derek out to fix it, but she didn't mention that he was going to be invoicing the district for that work. So that text message conversation, which was one message from each person, less than a couple lines back and forth, does not constitute district consent to engage in a contract with Action Electric for $1,298. No price was discussed. No other vendors or alternates were discussed. Doria just said, I'm sending this person out here. What's the gate code? And then all I responded back was, thank you. Here's the gate code. Here are the problems that I know with the generator. So, motion to pay the MCREA, AWWS, and CDPHE bills.
I'm not so sure.
Can I get a second on that?
I'm not.
Yeah, I second it.
Shouldn't
Go ahead, Marcy.
Shouldn't Doria be paying the $12.98?
That's what I'm saying is,
Yes.
I mentioned the first 3 invoices. Should we authorize the payment of those?
Yes,
Yes.
and
I agree.
second.
All right. So Jesse voted yes, Marcy voted yes, Lynn voted yes. So we will pay MCREA, AWWS once we receive the invoice, and CDPHE. Motion to pay Action Electric $12.98.19. Can I get a second on that?
No.
No.
Motion fails. We cannot pay Action Electric. We've never heard of them until we got an invoice, and we can't find a work order or any emails between this company or anything. We have no idea who they are. Alrighty, moving on. So speaking of low bills like MCREA for $230 and $75 for an annual renewal fee, I think that it would probably be efficient, definitely more efficient, and require less meetings in some cases if we would authorize the treasurer to automatically pay what I'm putting in quotes here, normal and essential vendor invoices below a certain dollar amount. So I'm thinking that a normal and essential vendor invoice is going to be a contract that we have, such as with MCREA for power, Albert's wastewater systems for certified operator, and that's about it. Those are the only 2 contracts or actual agreements that the district has made for services on a recurring basis. So if it's a normal thing that we have to pay every month, and it's essential, meaning if we don't pay it, the water stops flowing, or we get a violation from the state, or we're putting ourselves in legal jeopardy or anything like that. If we have to do it and it's a normal thing that we expect to do either monthly, quarterly, or annually, and it's below a certain dollar amount, then I think that the treasurer should just be automatic or approved to automatically pay those without a specific board meeting just for that.
I agree.
Any thoughts on? So what about what should the dollar amount be? I think most of the time our AWWS invoice is mostly just going to be like the $500 to $600 or $500 to $800 range. The base fee is the $530 something.
Sheila has her
and
hand
then
up.
sometimes I see. Go ahead, Sheila. You're still on mute.
Unmute your microphone, Sheila.
Let's see if I can do it.
Well,
Nope.
as I say, while we're waiting on Sheila, I was just kind of looking through the AWWS bills over the last 6 to 8 months, and it looks like we average between $800 and $1,200 a month to them from what I could see. Does that kind of sound typical for what you guys have been seeing from AWWS?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I think if we set that amount too low, say they send us a $1,200 bill, and you know what I'm saying? I think we should probably make it anything, even if we just specify AWWS, anything under $1,200, pay it. If it's above $1,200, then we need to meet about it or something. I don't know. Whatever you guys think as to where it has been, because I was just kind of going through your average bills, looking to see kind of where we were sitting. I don't know what y'all think about that.
So the average is going to be a little high because some of those months we paid a huge amount of money for special water sampling to provide to the state engineering department, stuff that Fred should have done and kind of did several times in the past, but never formally submitted properly. So yeah, there was like a total this year, I think, of about close to $10,000 worth of special water sampling that, the developer should have paid for that, and I think we should probably look into seeking that money from the developer at some point. But
Okay.
yeah, the average bill is going to be a lot less than 1,200. It's if the average is in the 8 to 12 range, it's probably skewed by those tests a little bit. So
Okay.
I think what will happen is most of the time the bill is going to be 500 to 800, and then if it's higher than 800, it's either because we've had an emergency or we've made a special request for an additional trip out here for whatever reason, from Jim or somebody else. Because the base rate is pretty much going to be the same. So the only time there's more expenses is when we have to do like a big round of annual paperwork, like that consumer confidence report. That cost us like $1,600.
Okay.
Yep. Sheila's joining again. She must have got disconnected. So yeah, there are certain months throughout a given calendar year that we will have, higher bills because of quarterly water testing or an emergency or whatever. But normally, yeah, I think it's going to be usually less than 800.
I say anything under $1,100, $1,200, we should get approval for.
Over. So should we just call it 1,000? If it's more than $1,000, then it requires a board meeting.
Yes.
And then and it's also normal and essential, then it doesn't. I think that sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheila, are you there now?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yep,
we can
you're
hear you.
What was your question?
I was going to suggest $1,000 to $1,200.
That's kind of what I said, but we've just decided anything under 1,000, we can go ahead and pay. Anything above, we need to have a meeting.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm fine with 1,200 too. I don't think it'll make a huge big difference whether it's 1,000 or 12. So let's just say if it's under 12 and it's normal and it's essential and it's not something that's coming out of the blue or surprising us that we actually need to talk about. Basically, if we're expecting it and we don't have a choice, that's what this is all about.
Okay, I agree.
All right. So motion
I second
to
it.
authorize. Oh, sorry. Let me officially call the motion. Motion to authorize the treasurer to automatically pay normal and essential vendor invoices below $1,200 or $1,200 or below.
I second that.
I
All in
third it.
favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
That's 3
Um,
yes.
Did Sheila get disconnected again?
I'm here.
Okay.
Before we leave the treasurer stuff and the money stuff, I do have a question. Do we need to get me added on as a signer onto the account in case I need to write checks?
Yes. Yep. We definitely need to
Okay.
get you signed up with High Plains Bank. I think there's an unused debit card that not that we have, but that can be generated and issued to you.
Okay.
So yeah,
I had them
Let's-
deactivate mine. So there should
Yeah.
be 2.
Okay. So, and I don't know if I need to go up there with one of you guys or somebody needs to go up, just say, hey, Lynn's going to come in. I'll go inside my card. I can meet. My schedule's pretty flexible. I just need to know when and where to go on up there to get that taken care of.
If you could call High Plains Bank and find out what the process is, and then
I
I'm
will
sure
do
one
that.
of us can work it out.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm kind of a paper hound, just so you know. So I do like having paper bills. I like having checks. Because it gives us, I like it on the computer as well. Everything I do, I have double and triple, ways to know what happened. So for me to be able to have a bank statement in my hand, I like to write notes on it. I check on it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Okay,
for me,
you'll have to get in and change all that because I am not a paper hound. I have multiple backups.
okay. Yeah, and I do both. I keep my backups electronically and I do it with paper as well. So I can always compare them up. I can, just in case electronic, I've had problems with electronics before. I have a hard copy. So I know it makes my job harder and a lot more mess, but I don't mind doing both of those. But I'll do whatever makes it easiest for everybody else on the other end as well.
Well, what I was saying is you're gonna have to change all that stuff at High Plains Bank.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all on paperless now, I think, but it should be easy enough.
Well, and
And
honestly,
then,
all
okay,
I need to do is get into the bank account and I can print them. I can print statements. That's not a big deal. You know what I'm
oh,
saying?
okay,
Leave it electronic that direction, but just know, as long as the district is fine with it, I'll keep everything secure where nobody can get to it. But I'd like to have those paper copies in case we ever do need to reference those back.
yeah,
And
and I've got a,
just so that you know, Lynn, Deb
Yeah.
Gross is the one that I dealt with the most with the bank account.
Okay.
So she's aware of everything.
Okay. Sound good. Deb Gross is her name.
Yes.
Okay.
GROSZ, I believe it is.
SZ, huh? Oh, she's fancy. Right on.
I think that's how you spell it. And along that same vein, I have a 3-ring binder for district stuff. So if you want that, I can run that by at some point. There's a finance section that you could start populating.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds
So
great.
I'm sorry, Lynn.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
So Jesse, if you're the records custodian, how does that work with all the information that Lynn will be storing?
As long as it's also electronic, then it doesn't matter. Not ever, yeah, there can be more than one records custodian. The custodian's just whoever is in custody of a record.
Okay.
But yeah, as long as we've got electronic copies of everything, I'm happy. I'm not a paper person.
Perfect. Sounds good. And I'll call High Plains in the next day or two and I'll get that all set up and figure out what I need to do to get that taken care of. And I will let you know.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So next meeting agenda item kind of ties into the previous one. Because bills are low and we don't have a crazy lot of them, and it's, things are relatively stable and predictable now. I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea, and Sheila actually suggested this, so I agree with it, that we change meeting frequency from instead of monthly to quarterly. It's been fairly common that we either postpone a board meeting or cancel it because we're waiting to hear back from the developer, or waiting for test results, or waiting for an invoice or something along those lines. So if we're already postponing and canceling half the meetings anyway, I think quarterly might not be a bad idea. That'll reduce meeting minutes, it'll reduce public notices, just a bunch of unnecessary paperwork at this point. It's necessary if it matters, but when there's nothing to talk about, then it's a burden.
I think
Okay.
that's a great idea.
Do you want to make that a motion?
We need to decide. Well, I'm sorry. This isn't my place.
I do have a suggestion because I have been thinking about this. Sorry about that. Is if we're going to do it quarterly, my suggestion is we stay away, because we want the community to be a little bit more involved. Stay away from Tuesdays and Thursday nights, because that's a lot of school stuff. I mean, my kids were in sports. When your kids are in sports and school activities, everything is Tuesday, Thursday nights. I suggest a
Yeah.
Wednesday night, and maybe set it like the first Wednesday of every quarter. So the date can change. It wouldn't always be like the 5th, just the first Wednesday of every quarter. And if we could push this to 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m., it would be fabulous. Because we have a lot of people who work in Denver, and when they have to travel to get home, I know when I worked in Denver, there was a lot of times I wasn't getting home till 6:45, 7 o'clock. And, just because of my travel time getting back out here. So that's a couple of my suggestions as far as changing how our meetings roll, if that's
Okay.
possible.
So the current schedule is the first, or sorry, the second Monday of every month. I think that was mostly decided upon because of Sam's schedule. I wish he was
Okay.
here to, kind of confirm what his schedule is. But for now, I think that let's keep it at the second Tuesday of, well, yeah, how do we do that? Sorry, it still needs to be a Monday because we don't
Okay.
know if Sam's schedule changes, but it's just going to be every 3 months instead of every 1 month.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we can change that later, but I would like all of the board members and preferably some more community members here to provide feedback if we're going to officially change it. Change the date and time anyway. But personally, yeah, I'm fine with 7 p.m. That makes total sense because all it takes is one car accident when you're almost all the way to, getting on Highway 52 to add 20 minutes to your, if there's somebody stuck on the side of the road or whatever, that can definitely drag your commute on.
Absolutely. So we're thinking the second Monday of the quarter, and then maybe possibly 7 p.m.
Let's see. Or am I wrong about that? Is it the first Monday? It is the first Monday. Normally currently it's the first Monday of the month at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So for now, let's
Perfect.
do the first Monday of each quarter at 6 p.m. And then we can talk about, once more board members are here, changing the day of week or time of day.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
And it might not be a bad, well, yeah, I think the first whatever day of the week of that month would probably be best, because if we do it any later, like today we're having the meeting and that's in time to pay bills, but MCRA is due tomorrow. I guess it
Yes.
won't matter as much if we're auto paying bills in the future, but that was one reason that I liked having a meeting earlier in the month, is to make sure that we can talk about, or have enough time to talk about, our invoices and stuff. But yeah, I think that for now, I would like to make a motion to leave everything else the same, but just change from monthly to quarterly, and we'll revisit at a future meeting.
I second that.
I third.
Alrighty, motion carries. And Sheila, let's go ahead and do PO Box first, and then we can talk about the CDPHE paperwork. So Sam's not here.
Nope,
I guess.
Sam's not here. I've been trying to get that PO box changed since September. And
Yeah.
whoever can get hold of Sam, tell him he's got 10 days to do it, or I'm going to shut it off.
I'm trying to think if you just turn it off, what the negative ramifications of that would be. We
There
already
would be some
re-upped it
mail
for
you
a
may
year.
not get.
How long does the forwarding period last, or
6 months.
does that?
Last I knew, it was 6 months.
So we would have to kind of make a complete sweep of county, state, public health department, divisional local government, office of state auditor, anywhere we've got this PO box registered as our official address. I'll go through and try to change everything that I can find as quickly as I can to the 1A, just in case everything goes south with the PO box. Let's see if we can get Sam to do it.
And say that I've given an ultimatum, because I've been trying to get this done for more than 6 weeks.
Now, in my ignorance, why do we need Sam in order to make this change?
Mostly, yeah. So the PO box apparently has to be in, at least one person's name. You can't just have a company name on it, which doesn't work very well for companies, especially boards with with turnover and everything, where it's guaranteed that you're never, the contact is going to change on a regular basis. But anyway, yeah, I would go do it and put the PO box in my name, except that a member of the community, as you have probably heard, accused or had the postmaster get involved and end up accusing me of a federal crime of trying to encourage people to use 1A East Ranch Road as a drop box instead of a USPS mailbox, which is ridiculous because the whole reason that 1A East Ranch Road got created was, and we talked about it on a previous board meeting, that we needed a mailing address within the district so that we can receive stuff and not have to let it sit in a PO box for 2 weeks and stuff like that. So it's just ridiculous that I went through all the work to create 1A East Ranch Road and set up a post office, set it up with the post office in the county so that we can start receiving mail in it, just to have a member of the community falsely report that to the post office as they're skipping the post office, they're skipping stamps, they're using it as a drop box, that's illegal, blah, 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 blah. So next thing you know, Wiggins postmaster is calling me up and threatening accusations of federal offenses and cutting off our mail service and stuff like that, unless we installed the new mailbox on the rail, not on the fence, blah, blah, blah. So I did that. Now we have a Dropbox and 1A.
Okay,
So
would
we
you like
don't-
to use, so we could get this taken care of this week? Would you like to use me?
If you don't mind, I think that would probably be the path of least resistance.
Are you okay with that, Sheila?
I'm good with that. I'm in town. Well, everybody knows where I'm at. I'm not there on Friday.
Okay. Okay. I'm pretty flexible this week, so,
At your convenience.
okay, sounds good. I'll get your, where are you in town?
Oh, next door to Mariana's, Wiggins Tax.
Oh, okay, sounds good. I'll swing over and see you. I don't know if I'll make it tomorrow, but I'll come over on Wednesday. And
Okay.
I'll come see you and let's go get this taken care of because there's no sense in fussing around with it anymore. Let's just get it done.
That works for me.
Okay.
Yep. If the postmaster hadn't accused me of federal crimes, I would just do it myself, but I don't want my name and I don't want her calling me ever again, basically. So Lynn, I'm not sure, but while you're there and taking care of that, might be a good idea to ask the postmaster if we can put more than one name as an authority on there, so that
Okay.
if you get hit by a bus, it doesn't make it impossible to transfer it to somebody else again. There should be if we can't use a company name, then we really need to have, whenever possible, at least 2 board members' names on there, so that if one leaves or gets, something bad happens or whatever, we're not up shit creek.
Okay, sounds good. I will ask.
Cool, thank you. And Dropbox, I think Lynn, you had that one added. Do you have something specific or just general?
No, I was just thinking if there's going to be more people from the community on that, we'd make sure and reiterate, hey, this, if you want to put your monthly payments in there or anything like that, you kind of do it at your own risk because it's not locked. Do not put anything in the mailbox. It does not have a stamp on it, has not gone through the mail system. And I just kind of was thinking we probably needed to reiterate that to everybody. And maybe on next month's mailings, I can put something together if this would be helpful, that we could add into the mailing and just say, hey, please make sure you guys know we do have a Dropbox. If you want to use it for your payments, it's at your own risk. Because it's not locked, and do not put anything in the mailbox that has not gone through the postal service.
Yep, definitely good as a reminder. And we could even put that as like on our website under the billing page or something too. But yeah, actually it would be good because I actually did get an unstamped letter in the actual USPS box after telling people not to do that. So
let me ask you this. I noticed when we've had a change of address before from somebody who was staying with us for a while and he moved back east, and they put a little sticky note on the inside of my door that's, basically had his name and then, his new address on it. Can we put something on the inside of our mailbox that says no unstamped letters or something along those lines? When someone opens up the door, I mean, is that legal to do that?
not sure. Probably would look
Okay,
into
I can
that.
ask that when I go to the post office on Wednesday. I'll
Yeah,
ask
that
him
would be
about
good.
that too. Okay.
The more we can patch up whatever relationship with the post office, probably the better.
Okay.
And making sure we're not pissing them off anymore.
All right. Oh, come on. We like them, those ladies over there. They're sweet.
Wrong post office.
Oh,
That's what
oh,
I'm
that's right. I get along with all those ladies over there. So far. Okay, but no, that was my question about the drop boxes, just to reiterate that. So,
Yep, definitely a good idea. Next agenda item, Sam had a couple here. Lynn had the first one, discuss adding a new billing tier for subscribers who use less than, I think you said 2,000,
yeah,
but
that's
I
what I
couldn't
was thinking.
remember.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's a few of the people that, we've discussed that, they're on the road all the time, or they're barely home, and, or there's only one person living there. And when you're under 2,000 gallons, I don't think I can understand I think 2,000 would be like, they should be paying a lot less. I would think anything above 2,000, just leave it as is. But anything below 2,000, we should, and even if we don't make a decision tonight, is maybe revisit this back in January when I do our next meeting, is what kind of rate do we want to charge on something like that?
Yeah, we would definitely need, especially if, we talk about Sam's putting water rates back at $45 for the winter months. We have to make sure that we don't run the district in the red. So
Yeah.
if we're talking about any kind of lowering rates or anything, we have to make absolutely sure that we can project that out and say, here's how it looks now for 2023. If we change this, here's how it will look at the end of 2023. And if we do this, here's how it will look at the end of 2023. As long as it's not red and it doesn't make anyone uncomfortable as, getting close to red, definitely worth talking about. But, I just don't want to make it sound like we're making any promises or guarantees. Because when we raised the base rate to 70, that the purpose for doing that was the calculation said if we don't, the district will go broke. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And it is not legal for us to run the district in the red at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things here. What is, because the income statement and balance sheet are not posted here, so I can't see what the balance in the reserves account is. We have next to nothing for reserves. We won't be able to fix something if it breaks, which was one of the reasons for going to $70 a month, so we could start to build a decent amount of reserves.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I brought up a couple of meetings ago, a percentage of use billing, which I think makes more sense than the 4,000 or 2,000 gallons a month. Because as you well know, my usage on my bills has swung from 1,000 gallons, which is totally unreasonable, to 5,000 gallons, which is totally unreasonable for my household.
I don't think it's unreasonable at all, but that's discussion or something for offline. It's not official district business. It's a consumption thing. What I think we should do at some point, if we could ever afford it, is convert all of the meters to 100-gallon increments, and then all of this kind of complaint would go away. But
yes, it would. But I still think a percentage of use billing, because we have all the data. You have all the data. I keep saying I'm not part of it anymore. You have all the data that it would take to do the calculations for percentage of use. And that is more fair to everyone. Somebody that might use 800 gallons a month and somebody that might use 20,000 gallons a month. Everybody's paying their fair share of their stress on the system.
But that's only the actual system. What about the district? What about, it's not just the system that we're paying for here. It's also the operation of the district.
Okay, the
So-
base rate of 45, as long as that goes into reserves every month.
At 70? Or are we,
I
So
think we
you-
should leave it at 70 through the winter months. I think that should just be our base from straight on forward. And if we can get some things fixed around here, then consider moving it down, but I would stay at the 70.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Lynn. We should stay at 70 because we don't have enough reserves, nowhere close
Yeah.
to enough reserves.
I
yeah,
agree.
I would love to lower water rates, but if we do, I'm quite sure that it will come back and bite us in the ass in the future. It's,
And-
you know,
and
things are too
honestly-
unknown and too unstable. For example, we just got an unexpected $1,900 bill. You know, there are definitely going to be unexpected things in the future, and having less money to deal with them just doesn't sound good to me.
Mm-mm. No, I don't.
But
And I think if you're flip-flopping back and forth between winter months, summer months, winter months, summer months, I think it can get extremely confusing to a lot of people.
yeah, and also require constant changes in QuickBooks. So
Yeah.
yeah, we need to settle on something, and it needs to be based on preferably a 5-year forecast. That's how we're supposed to do it, is a balanced budget every year for 5 years. We can't really see much further that into the future, but if we can't see at least 5 years into the future, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So we've got 1 year under our belt.
We're going to be able to, you guys are going to be able to do a real budget and not have to depend on fictitious numbers anymore.
Yeah. Yep. Not only from actual spending, but we've also got that, 1+ year worth of cumulative data for meter readings. We know what's normal now. That was really important through this first year, is getting an understanding and getting a handle on everything that we can expect next year,
Yeah.
so that it will go easier next time around. We won't be scrambling saying, oh crap, we didn't even know that this law existed and we have 2 more days to comply with it. How do we do that?
Yeah, I don't
can't-
want to do that.
It's not fun. So yeah, lowering water rates, to do that, we would definitely need actual, financial projections. We would need to share that with the whole community. Say, if we do this, this is the positive or negative or both effects that it would have on the community as a whole. And I just don't want to see a balance line, projected into the future going down instead of up.
Yep. I agree.
I agree.
If it's going up too quickly, we may be charging too much for something, but if it's going down or barely going up, that's definitely scary.
Yes.
Yes.
Next one, discuss reducing the late fee, or modifying, I should have said, the late fee. Currently, QuickBooks is set up to apply a $10 late fee for each time that or for each billing period that the bill has gone unpaid. So if you don't pay it for 3 months, then you've got $30 worth of late fees on it. And I think, based on based on my last year of experience of billing people and dealing with late payers and overdue stuff and past due notices, I really don't see that compound late fees do any good at all. I think they discourage payment rather than encourage it. If your bill is 45 and you've got $30 additional late fees on it, at that point a person's going to be, screw it, I'm just not paying. It's
Well,
that doubled.
at that point, they should be getting a notice of potential shut off or shut off.
Yeah,
If you're going to only do one late fee for 3 months worth of late bills, it's got to be a significant late fee.
but it's per bill. So right now, if you have three bills that are past due, the first one's got the most recent's got a $10 late fee. The next one's got $20 worth of late fees, and the one after that's got $30 worth of late fees.
And I
So
think
now you
that's
owe
okay. They should
$70
be
of late
ignored.
fees. it's just a disincentive to pay at that point. Trust me, from people that I know, people that have a hard time paying their bills, and if the late fees are more than the bill, they're just going to file bankruptcy.
Well, they should have their
or otherwise not pay
getting
it.
their their notice of 48-hour shut off.
That's after 120 days.
I don't think that the $10 each month is inappropriate.
I do. From my experience, and the people that I've charged that many late fees and dealt with and tried to get them to pay up, the additional late fees were of no incentive to them whatsoever to true up. It just makes people dig their heels in every time when they get a bill in the mail and they say, "Oh God, I know if I could just get paid for this 2 months worth of work that I've been doing, I would pay it." And when they see $10, $20, $30, and then the next one's $20, $30, $40, and so on, that's a cascading, snowballing.
There's an opportunity here, though, Jesse, to be the good guy. Okay, the district can write off those late fees, uncollected debt, bad debt. The district can write those off. Well, we're cash basis on income statement anyway. But the opportunity is there for the district to look like the good guy and say, "Yeah, well, I think we can let it go this time." How do you feel about that, Lynn?
I don't think that's a bad idea, but if we went with, say, because when you do write those off, it does make you look a little bit better. But what if you wanted to go with it once a month instead of having a $10 late fee? I mean, that's a cup of coffee these days. It's $25 late fee. You be late to Morgan County and see what they do to you for your electric bill, or you be late to someplace else and your late fee is higher, but they don't compound it on you every month. But maybe if we want to go to a one-time late fee per bill, is raise it, make it a $25 late fee or a $35 late fee. Make it hurt.
Make it hurt, but then you get the opportunity to look like a good guy.
Yeah, that is true, and we have forgiven late fees before. It can definitely help get people to pay. Using that as a bargaining chip, I guess.
So I think that Lynn's idea was good. Increase that late fee to $25, but let it apply once, because by the third month they're getting their 48-hour shut off anyway.
Yep. It's 4 months actually. We can't shut anyone's water off until one or more invoices haven't been paid for, or that are past due, or sorry, haven't been paid from the due date 120 days out.
Is that state requirements or our requirements?
I believe that's ours. I think state requires.
Yeah, it's in our rules and regs.
We need to visit that in the future soon.
And the other thing that I was going to ask about while we're on this billing subject, we should probably try to find out, at least send a letter out about, because I know Excel Energy and REA and all of them, if you have a disabled person in your household, they work with you differently. And I think that we should have some kind of a policy that addresses that issue.
Yeah, I tried to find language like that. Wasn't able to find anything good like I did for the financial hardship. But yeah, if there are requirements there that aren't in our rules and regs, for special handling of that, then yeah, we definitely need to look into it.
Honestly, I think that would be a very, very good idea to look at as well. Because like, I know when my mother-in-law was living with us, if our heat went down or something along those lines, that would have been extremely detrimental, or our electricity with all the oxygen, machines and stuff, that would have been a really, really bad thing for her. She'd have ended up in the hospital. So I think that's a very good idea to look at.
Yep.
But
I'm not sure if that applies to water like it does for electricity, but definitely need to look into it.
But the 120 days for me, I'm saying this out of ignorance because I didn't know. I think that's excessive. I think that's a lot bigger grace period than what we should be giving, because you have to look at my water bills over this summer. I'd be $1,200-1,300 in the hole if I went that far. $1,500 in the
Yeah.
hole. So you're talking people that are going to get way too far out. So that might be something we need to look at changing as well.
Yep. That's a good idea. We can bring that up. So yeah, if you could run some numbers for the scenarios that we've been talking about, because any changes to rates, fees, tier structure, any of that kind of stuff, not only requires a board meeting, but also additional public notice, like 60 or 90 days advance notice.
Okay.
Or maybe not that much, but it requires more advance notice than normal, as well as publishing the new proposed rates and everything on our website and mailing it out to everybody. So yeah, that's a much bigger deal than just something. We couldn't change rates on this meeting is what I'm getting at,
Yeah. No, I understand that.
or times or schedules or anything. So anything in the rules and regulations, that's a bigger deal.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll put those as to-do items to look into. Medical / disability, special handling of shut-off situations, and
Mhm.
then change possibly from 120 to 90.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you're right. If you give too long of a runway, then that's just a bigger and bigger negative balance on the district's books until everything gets squared away.
Absolutely. And I can understand if there's certain, scenarios where they're like, hey, I can do $30 a week or, something along that line, and they're working towards getting those things paid off. That's a different, we should be open and have the flexibility to work with things like that. But when it's just, you get the cold shoulder, no response, no communication, then I think you're at that point of, no return.
Yep, and you mentioned the important word, communication. As long as they know that they owe us money and they admit it and they are trying, and like you said, making half a payment here or just a little bit to help, as long as there is progress in moving forward and actual effort being put into it, then definitely we should be as generous and forgiving as possible.
Yes. All right.
So we will run some numbers, do some projections, see what the pros and cons of the adjusting late fees and that kind of stuff. We still need to look more into the percentage-based billing. But yeah, all of that that'll take a lot more research and homework and spreadsheets and charts that we can show people of, if we change this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we get to the end of the meeting, I have to, I don't know, this is my disclaimer or whatever you want to call it. Lynn, have you ever done any government accounting?
I have not.
Okay, so the one thing that I did find out about what applies to our special district is that the income statement is on a cash basis,
Mm-hmm.
but the balance sheet is on an accrual basis. And
Okay.
that is to allow, and it's called modified accrual is what it's called.
Okay.
That way. And that is to allow for to be able to account for assets and to be able to account for depreciation in assets, although we don't file a tax return that shows the depreciation. That's
Okay.
why it's that way.
Okay.
That's my disclaimer for who's going to be running the financials.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hi, Travis.
Hello.
So we were actually just about wrapping up. We are at the public commentary section. Only members of the public are Sheila and Travis, so have at it.
You already heard a lot from me. I think I'm done.
And I think Travis is he still there?
Oh yeah, I haven't told yet.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the meeting.
Rick said to ask when we can have water pressure back.
You have bad pressure right now?
Yeah, we have very low pressure all the time. Takes about 10 minutes to fill a 70-gallon water tank.
Oh, yeah, if it's yeah, I thought you were talking about like an emergency or a sudden change like right now where I needed to run down to the pump house.
Oh, not that I'm aware of.
So when can we have our pressure back? Yeah, that's a tough question. It's only a matter of installing the right pumps, but we're talking about, you know, a $15,000-$20,000 project with CDPHE approval and paperwork and blah blah blah. So definitely on the list of to-dos, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yep, so that just goes back to what we were discussing earlier about rates.
What do you mean?
No, that rates can't go back down.
Oh. Yeah, I'm thinking more, you know, we'll get pressure when we switch to quality water district or the system is approved. Because the reason we don't have pressure right now is the pumps aren't the ones that need to be in there to get the system approved. But now that they've been changed, it requires permission from CDPHE to put them the way that they are supposed to be. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Fred. If they would have just left the right size pumps in there or put the right size pumps in and not tried to swap them out for other ones, we would have awesome pressure right now.
Well, wasn't there a new pump installed?
Yeah, but it was
In
a
the
lesser
well,
pump.
there's 2 well pumps and 2 pressure pumps. The well pumps just move water into the tanks, and the pressure pumps are what actually pressurizes, you know, those are high powered pumps that pressurize the actual distribution line. And no, so yeah, the 2 well pumps are of unknown age. I can get fairly close to knowing that one of them was replaced in 2019. I don't know if the other one of the well pumps is newer or older than that, or how older, but I do know that the pressure pumps that are actually inside the 2 tanks that are under the ground, we have no idea how old those are. There is no record in any district meeting minutes that I can find where those pumps have ever been touched.
Well, something in the
have-
tank had to have changed because there's a hole in the ceiling of the pump house, right?
Yeah, it's possible that that pump has been replaced in the past, but without knowing when, it doesn't matter. You know, just knowing that it's been replaced, it could have, you know, that could have been 15 years ago. It could have been a year ago. Who knows? So
Right.
the age of the pressure pumps are completely unknown. The well pumps are roughly new, 2018, 2019 time frame, both of them. But the east one and the west one, but the east one more than the west, has been severely abused by running it dry and airlocking it constantly, you know, before we took over and figured out that it was a problem. So we don't know the amount of wear and tear that Chrissy and Carlos and Daniel and everybody put on that pump in the last, you know, the 2 years that I've been here.
Right.
We have 1 spare pump. It's a 85 gallon per minute unit, which means it's really only good to replace another one of the wells. The pressure pumps that are in the tanks are supposed to be 120 psi or 120 GPM, and they're also only 85 GPM. That was Fred's great idea of, oh, we should just use the same part number pump in all 4 of the locations. It'll be easier that way. But by doing that, he altered the system so that it's not built the way that the engineering specifications required, so that we could use have fire hydrants and take a strong shower. So that's the crux of the problem. Is we've got 4 pumps, 2 of them are way too small, 2 of them are actually too big, and we have 1 spare, and it can go in any of the 4 locations, but I would really not want to put it back in a pressure tank because it's supposed to be bigger than what we've got.
Okay.
Okay, make a motion that
So-
we adjourn.
Hold on, Travis, you have any public commentary before we head out?
I was just going to ask a question. I don't want to go backtracking, but what was the status for like quality water or the other thing you said?
Sorry, say that again. We're getting an echo a little bit.
I was just asking what was the status about quality water or upgrading the pumps, the DDPHE?
Just muted our mic.
I'm trying.
So yeah, the touching the pumps right now is pretty much out of the question. But really, Travis, it's one of 2 things has to happen. We either switch to Quality Water District and get whatever pressure they can provide, plus whatever we would probably need a booster station. Based on what I've been talking to the district manager there, we would probably still need additional storage and pressure boosting. But either way, all of that stuff, any project that changes the treatment process or the the gallons per minute profile of the system or anything like that, all of that has to be an official quote unquote project with a capital P that runs through this process with the public health engineering department, where you get your engineer to draw up what needs to be done. You write down your proposals to CDPHE. You show that all of your ducks are in a row. There's paperwork that needs to be signed, and then CDPHE engineering unit will review what what your project is and what you're trying to do, and decide if it's legit or if they need to make modifications or whatever. And then you go back and do the project. But yeah, other than keeping the system the way it is now, practically anything that we would want to change requires that big, it's called a design approval process. And switching to quality water, that's still our best bet. But again, that will cost $6 to $10 million or more. And we have to figure out who is responsible for that. And if it's the district, which means the homeowners, where do we come up with it? AKA property taxes, bonds, loans, grants, that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, all I can tell you right now is the only thing I can do is keep everything the way it is now and prevent it from getting worse. But we're not really allowed to do anything to make it better yet. And even if we were, we could we don't have any money.
So let's cut the water.
Perfect. Yeah, that was one of the things I missed, was just where we stood as far as different aspects, and you answered that, so we're good. I got nothing else.
All right, sounds good. So
Thanks for attending, Travis.
Sure thing.
Yep. So if there is nobody else that would like to speak, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Rick has a question.
Okay.
And he wants to know if the community's been informed that those on the Division of Water Resources website, that the wells have been put in our name, although we don't have like a bill of sale or anything. But Division of Water Resources says that the wells belong to Prairie View Ranch Water District now.
Yeah, I suppose we could mention that, but it's really just unofficial information. All that is contact information that's been made more accurate to the best of our knowledge. It doesn't mean anything other than that.
And what are the latest uranium and selenium levels?
I'd have to go back and look at the April and June samples. That's just, you only do that once a quarter or once a year or once in a blue moon for design approval and stuff like that. So we do not do regular monthly sampling of that kind of stuff. It's super expensive.
It is, but it's super important too. That's why I asked, what are the latest ones?
The ones that we got in April and June.
Okay.
So the ones in April and June, I think were for the uranium, it was 500 times, Jesse.
It depends on where you look. One of the wells is slightly below the max EPA limit. One is 1.5 times higher than the max EPA limit. But then when you sample the sludge is 200 to 500% higher than the EPA max limit for uranium, and like 3 or 4 times higher than max limit for selenium. So the sludge itself is, where the uranium and selenium is super concentrating, but the fact that we're pumping that sludge out of the tanks along with the water into the distribution lines means it's also making it all the way to your sediment filter. The uranium, some of it, a very, very small amount, will get trapped in the sediment filter. Most of it will be captured and flushed out through the water softener, but there will still be a decent amount left that makes its way through and will have to be RO filtered. Uranium, as far as showering or external use, alpha particles aren't even strong enough to penetrate the skin. So as long as you're not consuming it and keeping it on the outside of your body, it can't really hurt you.
Okay.
But that does not mean that it's not concentrating in the system.
Right. It's concentrated at the bottom of the tanks and in the sludge. The sludge is a combination of uranium, manganese, selenium, mostly that.
And in the lines.
Yes, the lines are severely contaminated. We've never video inspected them, but I can pretty much assure you that whatever percentage of sludge is in the tanks is also that ratio of water to sludge in the pipes. Maybe a little bit less because the pipes are big and the water flows faster through them, but roughly speaking, if the tanks are 7% sludge, then the water in the lines is also going to be about 7% sludge.
When are they going to clean the tanks?
That's a whole different ball of wax. I looked into it. In order to get a human being in there to do an inspection and cleaning, it has to be a certified diver, a scuba diver that also has potable water tank, ratings and stuff like that. So of course that's going to cost more than just, if any random person with a vacuum hose and a vacuum truck went down there. So that's the first hurdle, is you have to find a certified potable water tank diver. Next hurdle that we're going to run into is, I've already called a couple divers, and their standard pretty much is, in order to safely get in and out of the tank, especially out if there's a backflow emergency, like a check valve fails while he's in there or something, the exit to the tank has to be 36 inches square. Ours is, bare minimum of 18 inches square. Our the west tank is a circular access hatch that's about 16 inches in diameter. So a diver will not go in there. He couldn't physically fit with all his gear and stuff on anyway, or it would be a very tight and dangerous squeeze to get back out if he got caught on something. So the west tank, the access hatch is too small for a person to get in. We could still do a ROV video inspection at least to look for corrosion and stuff like that, but cleaning it is pretty much going to require a person to go in there. The east tank has a larger access hatch. Don't ask me why Fred got used tanks with 2 different size hatches on them, but that's what it is. So we could have 1 tank cleaned, which theoretically could help a little bit, because the tanks they're supposed to run in parallel or series. So if we cleaned the tank that we could get into, which is quote unquote the primary tank, it would start sucking stuff out of the secondary tank during its normal course of operation, and kind of balance them out so that the level in both tanks would be lower. So, theoretically, we could clean the east tank several times and just let the sludge from the west tank naturally get sucked over into the east tank where we can do something about it. But obviously that doubles the amount of effort and everything, twice as many trips out here to do cleaning of one tank instead of two. The other problem with tank cleaning is, again, because of the way that Fred screwed up and the way that Daniel configured stuff, as far to my knowledge, even though the tanks are supposed to run in series, where the east tank draws water out of the west tank and the west tank is the one that gets filled by the wells, the way it's working now is the wells fill the west tank, and then we have to run both of the pressure pumps at 110% of their maximum speed just to make the water pressure that we've got now. The way that it's supposed to work is the east tank should have a big enough pump in it that it can run all 85, a Prairie View ranch with all 85 houses here. But right now we need both pumps running at 110% just to handle the 48 houses. So that's the problem, is we cannot shut one tank down and isolate it and leave the other tank and the other pump online. To clean either tank, we would have to shut the entire system down for the entire duration of the cleaning.
So I guess just live with non-drinkable water then.
If you filter it, it's perfectly drinkable, but we have so much sediment that filtering it is becoming a pain in the ass for some people and impossible for others. But yeah, we need to get the sludge out of there. We just don't have a legal way to do it right now. Theoretically, we're supposed to be able to flush it through the fire hydrants, but we don't have the pressure. And in order to get the pressure, that requires a big CDPHE design project and blah, blah, blah. And the developer would probably have to get involved with that too, since they claim that they still own the infrastructure and have asked us not to do anything to improve it.
So where are we at with getting any compensation from the developer for the loss of value of our homes?
That would be a class action suit. Anyone can start one. I'm still trying to work through non-legal channels because lawsuits are expensive as hell.
How long's it been since we've heard anything from them? Other than sending a bill for something we didn't ask for.
Yeah, so the last email communication, which is kind of the formal, I guess, we've never gotten a letter from Goddard. Well, we've gotten one letter from Goddard way back more than a year ago. But yeah, email is the way he seems to prefer to communicate. And the last email that we got from the developer's attorney was about 5 or 6 weeks ago, to the best of my recollection.
So we are in limbo.
Yep. And the last, that email was basically them saying, we need more time. We haven't been given any information about the uranium. We don't know that there are any problems with the system. They're just playing stupid. They're saying that all of the hundreds of pages of write-ups that I've done to explain everything that's ever gone wrong here from day one, and everything that's wrong with the system and everything that needs to be fixed with the system, Tim Goddard pretty much literally said, TLDR, too long, didn't read. So he's just playing stupid, but it's not going to work because CDPHE is now waiting. The district and the health department have jointly invited the developer to a public meeting to talk about what needs to be done to move forward. And still all they can say is, we don't know what's going on. We didn't know there was anything wrong. We don't know what you're talking about.
So when's the last time we heard anything from the health department regarding this?
Right around that same time. It was in that email thread where the health department invited them, district invited them, health department re-invited them after they did an RSVP. Tim Goddard, the attorney, RSVP'd saying, we need more time because the district hasn't been communicating with us and we don't know what you're talking about and we've never seen these well samples. So we need to hire experts and do our due diligence and blah, blah, blah. That's what he's been saying for a year. And it's all just, they know I'm right. And they know it's going to cost a fortune to fix it all.
Yep,
So
so
would it
they
be
just,
worth contacting the health department again, saying, hey, what's going on with this? We haven't heard anything from them or you.
Yeah, I'm going to ask them straight up, on what date does this system go into enforcement if nothing changes from the way it is now? They keep threatening to put the system into enforcement, but they haven't actually set a date or anything, or any of the parameters, or how much is, what the fines or recurring intervals on those fines or anything like that's going to be. So yeah, I would definitely like to find out if the system's actually going to enforcement, when, and what's that going to look like.
Okay, got all my questions answered.
Any others for anybody? Alrighty, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:30 p.m.
thank you. Thanks for coming, Sheila and Travis.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Bye,
Alrighty,
everybody.
motion adjourned, or meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Why am I having trouble with your mouse?
I don't know what's going on with it. It does it to me too.
I think it powers down after